Hi, and welcome to PhotoNewsTV. I'm your host, Will, and today I've got the brand new Tamron 90mm SP f2.8 DI Macro 1:1 VC USD. So what does all that mean? Well, it's a 90mm full-frame macro that'll also work on your crop sensor cameras. It's a true macro with 1:1 reproduction. So when you're set to 1:1 focus on here, the image coming through your lens appears life-size on your sensor. The VC is Tamron's amazing vibration compensation or image stabilization. On this particular lens, VC now is 5-axis stabilization. Uh, so now not only is the stabilization working for fore and aft tilts and side to side, but it can also detect rotational movement as well. So now as you're hand holding, the stabilization in this lens is going to keep your images a lot sharper. You're able to hand hold in slightly slower shutter speeds, which you need with macro to get the deeper depth of field. The USD is Tamron's ultrasonic drive focus motor, which on this particular lens is leap years ahead of some of the previous USD implementations. I spent an evening last night running a portrait class and was able to do some portraits with this lens, and I was really impressed how quickly the USD focused. And I was shooting entertainers, so well, you'll see the photos, but uh, entertainers are always moving and it's hard to actually get them a lot of times. But the USD was locking on fast, very accurate. So I was able to do some headshots because that's another use for a lens like this. As well, they happen to provide me with some flowers. So I'll show you some macro samples, all handheld. I've also got some depth of field samples that I'm going to show you where I've actually tripod mounted the camera and lens so that we can really nail down because I'm going to compare this to my almost legendary Nikon 105 Micro Nikkor, which those in the Nikon camp know is a stellar lens, just like the Canon 100 LIS macro lens. You know, they're both kind of the cream of the crop, and this new one from Tamron is really setting a standard now. So let's take a look at some of the macro samples. So side by side, here's the Nikon 105 and the Tamron 90, and you can see just how sharp this lens is. Now, while I've got the flowers, I want to show off just how great this stabilization is. So here's a little bit of handheld video, and you can see just how stable this is. There's no tripod. I'm hand holding this, uh, running through the aperture, which on my D810 is a clickless, sorry, the lens is a clickless aperture. The camera allows me to adjust the aperture as I'm shooting video. And I'm also able to do focus pulls. It's a really nice, large focus ring on the new Tamron 90 macro. The rubber on it's nice and firm too. It's not a soft rubber. It's a very nicely ribbed rubber that's easy to hang on to, even with gloves. So as you can see, the video is very stable. The sharpness and acuity of this lens is just stellar. A few other features before I jump into a couple other things. So there is a focus limiter switch on the side of the lens. There are 3 positions on the focus limiter, either full from close focus, which on this is just under a foot from the focal plane of your sensor. You can also limit the focus just to the near range, which is 0.3 to 0.5 of a meter, or further out 0.5 to infinity. We also have an AF/MF switch. Now you do have manual focus override on the autofocus system, and then your image stabilization on or off. Now when I shoot macro, I tend to use a cable release, and I turn off the stabilization anyways, just because I'm so used to some older lenses used to initiate shake just by having that VC mechanism kick on. Tamron's also added their Flourine coating and their B-bar and E-band coatings to protect your front element and also to minimize flare and ghosting inside the lens, ensuring crispy, sharp images. a rubber gasket for weather resistance. It's not weather sealed, but it is a weather resistant lens with the rubber gasket to protect the lens mount. Now let's take a look at, I've set up a ruler here so we can measure the depth of field and the focus range. And I want to point out one thing. With most macro lenses, when you're macro focusing, you'll notice that they don't shoot at their largest aperture. I know with my Nikon, it never shoots at 2.8. It usually stops down to 3.2 when I'm close focusing. The new Tamron actually closes up a little bit more to f5.6 when you're at 1:1. And there's a couple of reasons for this. And I haven't talked to Tamron to find out exactly why, but from my understanding of these systems, when you're focusing at less than a foot from your camera at 2.8, your depth of field is going to be paper thin. And it's going to be really frustrating for a lot of people who are getting into macro and aren't entirely sure of how to set apertures and things like that. So by at least starting off at an f5.6, you've got a sliver of sharpness that you can really work with. And then, of course, you can stop down. Another nice thing with macro lenses is you're able to stop down more than you can with a standard lens, sometimes as far as f36 and f45, depending on the lens. There's still diffraction issues, which is an entirely different topic. But with macro lenses, there's less diffraction as you get down to f16 and f22 as there is with a lens that ends at f16 or f22. So you do have that capability for a little more depth of field. And as you can see from these images, and I've got the Nikon 105 side by side, we can compare the depth of field. You can watch as I'm dropping my or decreasing my aperture that the depth of field is increasing, and we're not really losing any acuity until we really stop down. And then if you're looking for acuity and those kinds of depths of field, you're looking at focus stacking, and that's a topic for another day. But this lens certainly gives you a lot of freedom to get shots that with the VC may not have been possible before. I'm getting on average about 4 stops of hand holding out of this, so I was really impressed with that. When I'm shooting macro, I'm still getting about 2 shots, because when you're at macro distances, it's just like shooting with a 600 telephoto. Shake is a little more pronounced, so you've got to have really good technique. But the VC really helps uh, get shots that I may not get. So thanks for your time. I hope you found that informative. I know I really enjoyed my time with this lens, and unfortunately I have to send it back to Tamron now. Hopefully I can get one back in the spring, because I'd really like to put this through its paces in the great outdoors. It's a little snowy out there at the moment. Um, so a couple of last little things. I find that this is a little bit lighter than my Nikon 105. Not a lot, but if you're going to be out in nature, you're going to notice that little bit of extra weight. Um, so a little easier to carry around all day long. Finish on these is amazing. The new SP lenses from Tamron, the new primes, have got nice pinch caps. It's a nice almost a silk black finish on them. But the focus ring is really what got me. That rubber is nice and firm with a great grip. Worked well in gloves when I was outside. There is also a lens hood that comes with this, and what I found was when you've got the hood on, you're actually able to focus within just a couple of inches of the hood. So the hood's a great protector for your front element. And of course, Tamron's got their new, I guess that's a titanium ring on here, so it just looks sharp. Um, Not that we buy lenses on what they look like, right? There's no white paint or gold N on here, but it's a sharp looking lens. It really performs well optically. I was very, very impressed with it. Made in Japan as well. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, click the like button down below, one of those sides. Don't forget to leave us some comments. If you've got any questions, we'll be sure to answer them as soon as we can. And don't forget to click the subscribe link to stay on top of further information and tips, tricks. I've got another video coming up on macro that I shot before I had this lens. Lots of my little tips on how to get great macro shots. and other new product gear. So click that subscribe button, stay in touch. Hope you've enjoyed this, and happy shooting.